Hello, chameleon wranglers. I got the most incredible invitation to go and be part of the Snake Discovery 2022 Enclosure Build-Off. This is where Emily and Ed of the Snake Discovery YouTube channel invite 10 YouTubers from all over the reptile community to come into one room and have one afternoon to build an enclosure. And the YouTube community can vote on the best cage, and then all of them are auctioned off later to support USARK. Of course, my response was an emphatic yes, and before I knew it, I was on my way to Minnesota. The Snake Discovery Reptile Zoo is beautifully presented, and each reptile has a large, naturally set up cage. And they even have an alligator named Rex that recognizes Emily's voice.
Rex, come here! Come here! Come on, Rex! Come on out! Come here! Come on! Good girl! Come on, all the way! Come here, Rex! Oh, the struggle. There you go. Good girl!
There's an invert room that even has a bat or two. But enough of this sightseeing for me. I'm here on business and I've got a job to do. Hello, Chameleon Academy. Welcome to the Snake Discovery Enclosure Build-Off. As you can see, that is the pallet behind me. And it's everybody here gets these blank cages. And then all of this is available to us to build the enclosure that is going to take home the prize. And what prize are you talking about? Well, you get a plaque, and then you get to come back in 2024 for the big enclosure build-off. But the best enclosure is going to be decided by the public. So we'll see how this goes. Well, now these terrariums are 4 foot wide, 2 foot deep, and 2 foot tall, and that's a little bit out of this chameleon boy's comfort zone. But I've just done an entire series on bioactive vivariums, and so you know what? Maybe I do have a little bit of an advantage to make up for that. So who are my competitors, you ask? Well, let's see. Let's do a rundown of the Rogues Gallery. First was Luke from Luke's Bug and Animal Adventures. Next was Bill Stewart from WPS Reptiles. Then there was me, Bill Strand from Chameleon Academy. And next to me was Adam Wickens from Wickens Wicked Reptiles. All right, Adam, say hello to the Chameleon Academy.
Hello, Chameleon Academy. How do you do?
They are doing great. They're wondering, what are you doing?
Okay, I'm also wondering what I'm doing. So I'm just stealing ideas from everybody last year. Excellent. And I had the great idea to use Gorilla Glue on the background on the foam. So I asked Clint, whose idea it was, hey, so how long do you wait for the foam to dry? And he said, don't use foam. So we're gonna see. I'm just kind of massaging it in. I'm gonna dump some substrate and hope for the best.
All right. Well, looks very gluey.
Thank you.
Excellent.
It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Across the room, there was Dave Kaufman from Dave Kaufman's Reptile Adventures, and then there was Richard Stewart from the Tarantula Collective. Next to him was Hunter Houck from the YouTube channel bearing his name. All right.
Hey, everybody.
What the heck is going on here?
Yeah, so we've got a dart frog enclosure.
Next to Hunter was Elle from Elle's Reptiles, and then Tyler Rugge.
Tyler, you have like a graveyard-themed enclosure. Yes. Tell me about it.
All right, so yes, it is a graveyard.
And finally, Chris and Casey from Garden State Tortoise. Of course, it was hosted by Emily and Ed from the Snake Discovery. Everybody was warm and friendly, but you know what? It came time to get down to the competition, and nobody took prisoners.
There's Dave Kaufman. Sometimes we let him in, sometimes we don't.
We're gonna leave him out this time though, because we don't want to lose.
And in the center of the room is going to be a wide range of terrarium building supplies donated by a number of companies supporting this event. My top picks were a T-Rex skull, a fogger, and a number of plant species specifically chosen for how they were going to look in about 9 to 12 months. Add some soil, some driftwood, and some miscellaneous things to make it look good, and I was ready to go. I knew I wanted to create a background, and I was going to do it with great stuff. If you've worked with great stuff, you know it takes time, so that was my first stop. Now, of course, we need a strategy for the build, and mine was a little bit complicated. All right, folks, so here is the final vivarium, And this is meant to be for Brachysia, the pygmy chameleons or carpet chameleons, jeweled chameleons, some of those small chameleons. But it's not ready for them yet. What we want to do is cycle it with the isopods and the springtails and get those established, really establish this bioactive environment. And while we're doing that, these peperomia back here are going to fill in this area right here and provide the chameleons with climbing surfaces as well as places where they can hide. Over in this corner, the see if I can pronounce this, Tortoise here is going to expand and cover this the tiki here and the Tyrannosaurus skull here, and here the pilea. This is called the crinkle Charlie. That's going to flow over here, and so you're going to get a very vibrant environment with many plants and many surfaces covered with plants. And at that point, after about 6 or 9 months of you establishing this bioactive environment, you're going to be able to add in some thinner sticks that are going through all of that plant life and provide a very good system for your smaller chameleons. So I came up with this 2 stages of life for the cage that I built. The chameleons are going to have to be the second stage of life because the first stage of life was going to be an awesome isopod cage. That's right, isopods, they don't get the love they deserve and people keep them in these small cages. I know, they do just fine in those small cages. Yes, I had the idea the first stage of life was going to be an isopod cage. And think about it. If you're in an apartment and you have limited space, if you got a cage like this, you could easily have over $5,000 worth of rubber ducky isopods in there. You know what? Have a side business. And so I designed the first stage of this cage's life to be perfect for rubber ducky isopods. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, it's going to have a thick leaf layer. It's going to have a number of pieces of wood strewn across the cage. And I already seeded it with springtails. And with that, you'd have an incredibly attractive isopod cage, harkening back to the land of the dinosaurs. Now let's talk about this cage's future. On the right side of the cage, there are a number of peperomias. And these are plants that are going to grow up and start to fill in the right side of the cage. In fact, you can see a peperomia in the cage behind me. In the middle of the cage, there's going to be a monstrosa. These attractive Swiss cheese leaves will provide a visual center to the cage. Next to that is a pilea, a crinkle Charlie, and this is going to grow and sprawl across the bottom of the cage, giving you an attractive forest floor. And then on the left side of the cage is a Tortoise, used to be known as a wandering jube or wandering dude. And if you've worked with these plants, you know that this is going to get big and it's going to sprawl. And so in 9 to 12 months, expect this cage to be much more three-dimensional than it is now. Once that happens, you're going to be able to add in the thin branches that the small chameleons really enjoy and then introduce your chameleons. Now, you do have a decision to make. If you want to use this cage as a side gig and raise rubber ducky isopods, I recommend not going to the second stage and adding a chameleon. That's a very expensive lunch for a chameleon. And if you have the idea that you're going to get a chameleon in the second stage of life, then you'd want to start it off with dairy cow isopods or something a little less gourmet. So there you have it. We all had a great day, a great time, and it's for a great cause. There was a lot of talent in that room, but the one thing I do want to communicate to you is that everyone there was just a wonderful human being. You can become fans, but you never know what they're like off camera. And I want to let you know that if you are fans of any one of these people that were part of the enclosure build-off, I want to let you know you won't be disappointed meeting them in real life. You will find them warm, welcoming, and worth watching. And I think that's the best thing that I came away with from this trip, is knowing what good people there are within the reptile community on YouTube. So the next steps are that the YouTube community is going to go to the Snake Discovery YouTube channel and they're going to vote on their favorite cages. I, of course, would love your vote, but my goodness, there are a lot of very good cages there to vote for. But after that, all of these terrariums are going to be available for auction, with the proceeds supporting USARK. And USARK is that organization that defends our rights to keep reptiles. So it's for a great cause. Now, if you're the one who wins the auction for the cage that I put together, please let me know. I would love to hear back from you in 9 to 12 months and let me know how the cage has developed. Because it's meant to develop over the next year, over the next 2 years. You know, when you buy these pre-set up terrariums at shows, they look great when you buy them, but in a year, they're all just kind of all over the place and not really looking that great. Well, the terrarium that I designed for the Snake Discovery Enclosure build-off was strategically and specifically designed to look good in 12 months. And so if you get the Bill Strand Chameleon Academy cage, please let me know how I did. Thank you very much for joining me. Please go to Snake Discovery and vote on your favorite cage and be part of this very cool outreach. So go over there, have fun, and I'll see you next time.